So I can't believe I'm even saying this, but the GSA is still at it. If part of their job is to manage federal properties, then please try and explain this one to me. In the latest act of out-of-control spending, the GSA built a brand new $49 million courthouse across the street from the old one, which now sits completely empty with no plan for future use. And it is still costing taxpayers more than $1 million a year to maintain that old one. That's no one is using. That's empty. I would say I'm surprised about this, but then again, it is the GSA and our government gone wild. Joining me now is Congressman Jeff Denham. Congressman, so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You know, this is so distressing, and obviously this is just the latest story. Every day there's a new story about how our money is being wasted by this group. This courthouse was a bad decision for so many reasons. I mean, a lot of it had to do with the size and the scope of it, just not filling it up. There was no demand for it. Who looks at these plans and signs off on them and says yes and then sends the money out? How does that happen?
Well, certainly over years of appropriation and planning, it was done at a time when they said we were going to add all these new judges across the nation, which never materialized. In fact, we have less judges now than when they were proposed 20 years ago. But the most egregious thing is, not only did they go out and build this new courthouse, but the one that's sitting empty has been empty for more than a decade. Those are the properties we need to liquidate. We need to make sure that we're either selling them off or redeveloping them, creating jobs, and then reducing our debt.
Who would buy that? I mean, how do you plan to, why did we build a new one in the first place if the old one is just a white elephant at this point?
Well, we shouldn't have built it in the first place. I completely agree. In fact, we're trying to stop the L.A. courthouse from being built. It's the same type scenario where you've got a new courthouse, you've got an old courthouse that many of the floors are sitting vacant, and now they want to build a brand new courthouse just so that they can expand. We're saying enough is enough. We want to cancel the project and force GSA to live within its means.
And you know, this one really drives me crazy because, of course, I live in New York City, and I keep reading about the $350 million lease for 4 floors at the new Freedom Tower in downtown. I mean, this is luxurious, gorgeous office space. They're going to be on the 50th floor above Condé Nast. I mean, and this, I'm told, they were supposed to get approval before they could sign a lease because the price is so insane, and they just went ahead and did it without the proper approval. How does that happen, and who pays for this? I mean, when are we going to see something happen because it's...
Well, ultimately, the taxpayers are on the hook, and that's why we're fighting back to make sure that they justify it. But certainly, this is something where they're just flat out breaking the law. They've broken the law in 3 different places. Even by GSA's own guidelines on their website, they know that they can't do this, and it clearly states it.
If they broke the law, can they go to jail? I mean, shouldn't they be fired? Shouldn't we be bringing these people up front and yelling at them? Something. I mean, how do you make it stop?
Well, we're actually sending the information to the Department of Justice. We want them to rule on this. But certainly, you know, this ultimately goes to the president. The president is the one who's trying to circumvent Congress, and it has both parties infuriated. I mean, if you can do this in New York and spend $350 billion on a new, or $350 million on a new lease, then what does that say for every other property across the nation? And really, does that pull the relevance out of Congress? I mean, it's certainly the administration trying to bypass the purse strings that are dictated through the Constitution.
Yeah, well, Congressman, please make it stop, because I promise you we in the media are not going to get off this story. We're going to march to Washington if that's what it takes, because people are really angry about this, and the buck's got to stop somewhere.
Absolutely, and that's what we want you to do. We want people to get engaged. We want them to let the administration know, let the GSA know, but ultimately, this is your dollars.
Yeah. All right, Congressman, thanks for coming on tonight. Have a great weekend. Thank you.